Hello my wonderful people, good afternoon and welcome to this channel. In this channel we always talk about trending gist, everything that is going on in the whole globe, but most especially South Africa. Oh yes, all my South Africa people, you're welcome to this channel. Please feel free to join the family, subscribe, like, comment and share, and turn on the bell notification. Right now the news reaching us that South Africa children, some of them have already passed out because of food poison that some foreigners are selling in South Africa. These are one of the things that South Africa don't want. That's why they don't need foreigners. But those foreigners, they are so heartless to go and be selling food poison to children in school. Just watch this clip of video and share your thoughts in the comment section.
Finish those. Move. Eat them. Eat those snakes. Eat them, all of them. Take. Taste your own medicine.
You don't want now.
You full of shit, Lou.
In Soweto, describing how they desperately tried to save the lives of children who died after eating food allegedly laced with a poisonous substance. Tsepo Williams says his grandchild was brought home by a stranger who picked him up along the side of the road, and he died shortly after he arrived in hospital. So with the one child that died in Soweto today, in total 3 children have died in Soweto and 2 on the West Rand.
A good Samaritan picked him up from the public road. He brought him here at home. His uncle, his also grandfather Tabo, was trying to resurrect him on the sofa, on the couch. That's when I was woken up by the scream of the child, her mother. Then I went inside the house. I found that there's a child there. He's conscious. Then I had to rush to the 4th house where I could get help. Then Bagam Tembo, they came and helped me with the transport. We rushed to Begimlangeni. We got there within few minutes, 10 minutes to 9 minutes. The doctors called us and told us the child is normal. And now the doctors, they told us that as they opened the child's eye, they suspect that he's been ate poison.
All right, let's bring our reporter Mangoba Mchunu in. He's on the story. So Mangoba, it's developing on a number of fronts. But am I correct? It is now 5 children in total that have died in the past week, potentially from suspected poisoning.
Certainly, said. In fact, we spoke to the families of the 2 boys in Soweto, who confirmed that their children had died of suspected poisoning. And then there's another case. That other case is in Protea South, and this is a different family, Sally, whose child, we understand, also had similar symptoms. The child was 14 years old and he had eaten an item from one of the foreign shop owns. In fact, that shop is outside his home, and this is when he then started presenting similar symptoms of vomiting and foaming in the mouth. They had also rushed this particular 14-year-old to a Chiawelo clinic, which is close to that area, and this is where he was then pronounced dead on arrival at that particular clinic. So they say that the reason why they've now spoken out is because they saw what had happened in the other areas, and they heard some of the symptoms that the children had been suffering from. And this is a reason why they then noticed that perhaps this might also be related to some poisoning of some sort. And they have confirmed that they are going to open a case with the police, and that they also had a visit from the clinic, which also had told this family that they suspect that their boy was also poisoned.
All right, so what we know about the 2 children who, did they die? I think it was on Sunday. These are children from Naledi in Soweto, who went to apparently a Spaza shop and bought biscuits. That's what we know about that case. Do we know if this 14-year-old who died on Tuesday, whose parents have just come forward, was he at the same shop? Was he in the same area as these children? So it's different.
It's different areas, said. In fact, the other one happened in Naledi, and this one happened in Protea South.
Okay.
And we understand that, Sally, since then, that particular shop has also been closed by community members, enraged community members, who insisted that they want this shop closed because they had suspicions then that after this child had eaten that item. And in fact, that was the only item the family says he had eaten that afternoon before falling sick. So the community had then closed this particular shop. They demanded that it be closed. But Sally, it's just, when you look at these incidents, it's just alarming, when you see such young children being killed in this way. And of course, you can imagine what the families are going through at this particular point. In fact, I spoke to the families of, the two boys also earlier on, who were quite devastated, said they still just don't understand how this all happened and how their children had died in this way. Of course, we also spoke, Sally, earlier on to the MMC for Health in Johannesburg, and she alluded to the preliminary results, the investigations that they've been carrying out as the city, saying that they've been able to confirm traces of organophosphorus.
Organophosphate?
Organophosphate, in fact.
Isn't that a fertilizer?
It is a fertilizer, indeed, Sally. In fact,
in which case, though, are we talking? The two in Naledi?
The two in Naledi, that is, Sally, yeah. We understand that this is one of the insecticides that is used in agriculture. And so what it seems to suggest, Sally, is that perhaps there might have been, poisoning that happened within that particular shop.
Accidental contamination.
Or accidental contamination. At this point, it's not clear where the source of this particular compound is, but there are investigations that are still continuing, Sally. We know that the Department of Health is also investigating, the police are investigating, and there are swabs that have been taken from that shop, as well as we understand the manufacturer of this particular product is also going to be investigated as far as this is concerned. But perhaps let's take a listen to what the MMC had to say about their investigation and preliminary findings so far.
As we stand, we have taken samples from the tuck shops to check the exact cause of the death. But with regards to the hospital, we can confirm that one of the children, the result has confirmed that it's organic sulfate poisoning. So the other one, we are still awaiting results, and we haven't yet got our results from the laboratory from the sample that we took from the tuck shop. Remember, with organic phosphate, it might be insecticides. It's used mainly for insecticides, but yeah, like I'm saying, we haven't yet confirmed from the Spaza shop that the biscuits that they actually ate do contain that. So as soon as we do receive the lab results, that's what actually gonna tell us is it that or not. If not, they have run a number of tests which we haven't got the results of. So we will be sure once we really get the results. But at the current moment, with no results, we can't be sure of the exact cause of the death of the two children.
Yeah, she's being very clear that traces of...
I'm making this video today with a very heavy heart because 2 kids passed away in the Eastern Cape due to food poisoning. This is a story that happens in South Africa every once in a while. Kids pass away, they lose their lives over food poisoning, and another news cycle comes in, and then we just forget about those 2 souls that passed away, and we just carry on like nothing happened. Today I want to make this video just to make you think about it. Have you ever spoken to a person who lost a child? Have you ever spoken to a family who have lost a loved one, who is a toddler or a child? It is the most painful thing you've ever seen in your life. With a child with her or his whole life ahead of him, dying unnecessarily from food poisoning. So let's be honest with ourselves. We have a situation where we have tuck shops that are run by people who are not interested in abiding by the law. They're not interested in complying with what is required by the health department. But you also have a health department that does not do inspections. And when they do those inspections, they don't do a good job. Because if they did their job, those kids would be alive today. So I'm sitting here thinking about these 2 kids that have passed away from food poisoning, from eating snacks from a tuck shop. Where is the South African Human Rights Commission? Where is the commission that is meant to protect our human rights, rights of kids to live? Because as far as I'm concerned, those tuck shops should be shut down right now, immediately. Shut them down. because 2 lives have been lost, and these people continue saying like nothing happened. Where's the Minister of Children, Women, and People with Disabilities? Where's the minister that looks after children? Where are all the NGOs that have to protect children from monsters and being poisoned by food? Where is everybody that is responsible for this? And the tuck shop owner should be arrested and should be prosecuted and spend time in prison. So this happens over and over in South Africa, especially in townships and poor areas, poor rural areas, and the government does nothing about it. So we are back here again where kids have died. Some were admitted to hospital. Luckily, they survived. But we cannot have this situation in a place called South Africa if we want to call it a country. We're a country of laws. We have the Labor Department, the Health Department, and the Labor Department that's supposed to be checking all these facilities, make sure they comply with the checklist that they have. We have the Ministry of Women and Children and People with Disabilities that is not doing anything about it. And number 3, we have the South African Human Rights Commission. Where are they? They're supposed to be doing checks and balances to make sure that our kids are protected from this kind of thing. And this thing keeps happening over and over. We've seen videos upon videos of these factories that are manufacturing fake foods in our own country, within our borders. While we have departments that are supposed to be safeguarding us as citizens from consuming the poisonous nonsense that they're feeding our kids. So today's video really is about what happened to taking responsibility and accountability as a department, as a human rights commission, or as a minister of women and children. These kids belong to somebody. They have a mother, they have a father, they have family. But right now, as we speak, they are gone. There will be funerals this week at those houses, and nobody goes to prison. Nobody takes responsibility. Nobody is dragged to court to make sure that they pay the price. So the question I'm asking you, let's be honest with ourselves. What happens to a country where we cannot even protect our own children? We're talking about kids between 4 and 7 who have absolutely... These kids, all they do is go to the shops and buy snacks. Okay, that's all they do. That's all they know. But we're supposed to have communities that are supposed to make sure that these shops are shut down. Number 2, we have the Department of Health and Department of Labor to make sure that all these shops, these tuck shops, these Spaza shops, they comply with the rules and regulations. Number 3, we've got the Minister of Women and Children and People with Disabilities. What is the purpose of that department if they cannot protect our own children? Don't even get me started on the president, because I don't think he's going to do anything about it. But the point that I'm making in this video, guys, is at what point do we just let everything go and let our kids just die in the streets like it's nothing? And we just carry on. Next week, there'll be another news cycle. We'll talk about something else. This is our future, guys. This is the future of our country. Kids. They come from somewhere. They have parents. Like I said at the beginning of this video, have you ever spoken to somebody who lost their child? It is the most painful thing you've ever experienced. Yet we have a government that does not care about their own kids, their own citizens. We have tuck shops that are running without any form of compliance, and everybody carries on. We have people that run tuck shops and they live in there. They use poison to get rid of the rats that are running around the shops. They're doing all sorts of illegal things in those shops, but the government just carries on. The departments just look the other way. The police just buy drinks there and carry on like nothing's happening. Our metro police do not even worry about the bylaws. And the result of all of that is young lives being cut short for no reason. Just think about it. Until then, stay safe.